What, am I late?
You're always late, man.
I made a career being late. Got a lot I got going on. We got some 10-inch pipe over here that I'm gonna be cutting down to length and installing. We're gonna be taking some fittings and salvaging them. You can go ahead and see that my pipe here is not even prepped or anything like that. And you know, when it comes to salvaging fittings, I actually don't mind it being like this because it doesn't matter. With a salvage fitting, you always want it to be just face cut, you know, so it's square to your pipe. That way when you take your fitting and butt it up here, you can get it square to your pipe, and it makes it just a little bit simpler. And then we'll go ahead and tack it on and get our fitting square and show you how to back bevel it and get that salvage fitting into shape, all right? Fittings aren't the best. You really could, you know, take a grinder and sit here and try to clean this all up, but for my best advice, man, is just slap that up on another piece of pipe, square it up, back bevel it. Get yourself a nice big bevel, and then we'll go ahead and show you guys on how to find the center again, so that way you know what to take off or what we've cut off and what the takeoff would be, so that way you don't lose any length or distance in your welding. All right. Oh yeah, I gotta get pumped up. Oh, what, you think Red Bull does it all for me? Oh man, come on now. Another thing we're gonna be doing over here is I got some of the thin schedule here. All right, some 188 wall, and with the 188 wall, we actually gotta attach it to a different schedule fitting. Now, a lot of the times out in the field, this fitting right here is gonna be a thicker fitting, you know, a schedule 40, a schedule 80, and so what we're gonna teach you today is how to transition these fittings that we got here, okay? It's like a 2 to 4 tapered transition, and what we'll be doing is we'll basically be making this bevel smaller and this you know, basically breaking it down to where we could fit this fitting to that pipe thickness, and that way we're not going to struggle. And the whole reason and purpose behind this transition is that way when you're facing x-ray. Now most of the time you can actually take the fitting to the pipe and take a gap and space it and step it in there, but what that's going to do is it's going to create you know, a nice fat weld, but it's going to cast a shadow when they go to x-ray it. And so that's why we transition these fittings. That's why we put a taper on here, you know, backwards, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's something important I think you guys need to learn, because when you're going out there and you're facing these obstacles, you're going to need to know how to approach it, all right? Could not find a left. All I had was a right, a right, a right, a right, a right, right, a right, a right, a right, and then I finally found a left. That's why I have no lefts, bro. That's why I have no lefts left. Barely get my finger in that one. That's because when I'm running that low hydrogen, I hold it like that. That burns up my... under the fitting here. Alright, another thing I'm going to do. So in order to make that fit on this, these are really handy to have a universal clamp. Make all your 90 fittings really easy. Then, when you go to fit this stuff, adjusting it up. This is adjusting side to side. Alright, I'm going to let go, so back up. Ready? And you should be able to look at your fit and see if you get a good fit or not. And if not, then you can raise it up if you think it needs to be raised up. You can see how messed up the cut was, how uneven it is. Alright, so that's level. And then you'll, just to be safe, I would say, just get it close to being level that way. If not level, I got it fucking pretty close to being level there. Then, the most important way would be to level it this way. At this point now, you're gonna want to give yourself a tack on the top, right? Because we know it's not level. And then we would rotate the 90 level and we'd tack the bottom. So that way the level would now become level with our pipe, right? That's important. This way, not so much. A lot of people think it is important. Now it is to a point if you roll it sideways and you roll this level on its side and you put it here once it's on its side, and you discover that this right here has a drastic roll to it. At that point, then you would want to bring your fitting pivoted, or hinge it and get this part up to where it would be level. But I'll tell you what, usually when this is level, it's pretty level to this. That's why I said it's best to try to level it this way. Even though you're not leveling it to anything, it's best just to be in the ballpark. That way, when you make your fit here and you tack it here and here, because then you can look down it like this and you can determine, which we can, get it this way and look down. That way we can determine at that point then if we need to hinge it. But no, this cut is off this way, so that's why we need to cut it. That way we can get a good fit. You do want to be careful when you have it on something like this, because if you don't have these dogs tight enough, this piece right here will fall. And if you're not wearing steel toe boots, or if it lands on your leg, it is going to hurt. So I mean, working around this material is heavy, it's dangerous, so take precaution, okay? Understand that I put a lot of force down on these to crimp it, to really hold it. Another thing you're going to see me do is put a chain vise around it, which I'll do, and then put a jack under it, because sometimes that's what you're going to need to do to get it up, to get it level. And that's one of the steps we're going to do right now. And I do got several chain vices, but just a few of them are a select way, and this is one of them. And this has got like, I think 2 chains or 3 chains, 2 chains hooked to it, because it needs to be longer to get around bigger fittings. I got it all tangled up there. I would suggest always keeping these things nice and greased up. I kind of let the water get on mine, so they got kind of rusted. You do that, and they're not going to really work for you too well. Be careful when you do something like this. When you add more weight to the fitting, this would be the time that it would actually fall, most likely, because you're adding more weight to this fitting right now. And the reason I'm doing this right here is so I can put a jack underneath it and raise it up to get that bottom level and tack. All right, bear with me. All right. All right, so then we'll get this puppy tight. This is how you're going to level it to get that bottom tack. Now it's not going to quite level it yet because I got my clamp so tight. What it's actually going to do, at this point, it would raise it up off my jack, so it wouldn't benefit any at this point until you get your tack on top. So make sure You get your tack on top before you let loose with this clamp. Now that I actually got my chain vise on the back, I can loosen these wing nuts on the top to allow myself to get a good fit side to side, because it won't fall back on us now. I had noticed that my side to side wasn't perfectly perfect, and it needs to be perfect side to side when it comes to making a good nice square cut on the fitting. And what I mean side to side is I like the pipe to be level with the side of the fitting on both sides of the fitting. And if it's not the pipe or the fitting that are the same size, then you always want to split the difference so it's even. And I'm talking top, bottom, and sides. All right, now that we got our side to sides established, I actually got a good fair level here too. I was able to get it somewhat fairly level. Now it's actually level. So I would check this. Make sure this is level. Needs to come just a little down. Boom. So now this is level. And this is level. So I'll go ahead and tack the top and the bottom at this point now. Now I can get away with tacking the top and the bottom. Even though I have my clamp on the bottom down there, I can still get a good tack, but be careful when you tack in your clamp on the bottom with this thing here, because if you don't have like splatter sprayed all over this, you could really gall it up with some weld splatter. So you know, you can get away just putting a little tack here and a little tack here, and then pulling the clamp off and finish putting a big massive tack in there. And then you're going to want to tack each side. I would put a good tack here, and I'd put a good tack here. That way when you make this cut, you know it's stable. All right, let's go ahead and pull our leads out and tack her up, baby. Sorry, I should have explained it before I did it, but that's my scenario, and then I'm going to continue. All right.
We'll start here.
All right. So most of the time, when I'm welding with rods like this, it doesn't really matter here what you're doing. You just want to get a good enough rod to make a good enough weld here. It doesn't matter what rod you're using to tack up your stuff. This is just what I have available. It's just some 532 7010 hippie rod, and that's what I'm just going to go ahead and tack this up with. Like I said, you could use whatever kind of rod you want to tack up your fitting to salvage it. Now you can see, man, this fitting is way out of whack. If I would have had to make this weld right now, I would have had to fight this fit to make this weld. I don't want that. In the real world, just make it easy for yourself if you have the capability to put a beveling machine on here and back bevel it. Hit that glow plug. It's my new V-Stinger I just put on. Actually, you know, these things are getting kind of pricey. I think I picked this one up for like 150 bucks, man. They're not cheap. They used to be like 75 bucks, so they've doubled in price. And in fact, I'm not gonna use this one. Let's go get a wrench and take this off. I just want to roll around with this on the rig so people don't think I'm welding.
All right.
Your fitting, make sure you're level. It looks like it might have pulled up just a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and, oh shoot, you know what? It might just be holding it up. So at this point, I can let go with my clamp because I got a good strong tack on the top. So we'll pull that clamp off, that universal clamp. Set it aside. My level, it's perfectly level. It could go down just a tad for my liking because I always want it to be perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. I'm going to do some overhead. Don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. You will burn your arms. Yep. Burned arms, long sleeves. or long sleeves burned arms. Notice how I'm to the side and behind? Alright, so at this point now, I got 4 tacks on it. It's tacked all the way around. Check my level again. Yeah, my brand new Stinger, I'll throw it on the ground. I don't care about it. Don't care about material, guys. Don't care about it. Bam. Level, baby. I don't even care about it being level that way because it really doesn't matter because it's not level to anything. But just looking down the pipe like this, you can see the 90 is nice and straight and coming down and not like bonk or bonk. Because if it's all crooked one way or the other, you're going to have some problems with your fit. So now we'll set the beveling machine on there and back bevel it. Full brake though. Make sure our barrel will clear that gas stand down. If not, we'll have to remove it. Just barely. cut is just always steer through your tool guide where you can steer when you just follow the cut. Make sure that you're dragging your hose so if the fitting falls, it doesn't land on it. It's about to fall. And I always like to turn off the oxygen after I turn off the acetylene. Turn the acetylene off, turn the oxygen off. Alright, we have a nice cut.